Good day. In this video we will prep the walls after spray foam for sheetrock and install sheetrock in a bedroom and bathroom. There are chapters with timestamps in the description so you can find what you may be looking for. Thanks for watching, and please give us a like and subscribe if you like what you see.
How's that?
Terrible.
You gotta look at the camera when you say terrible.
Terrible.
This is Mike and Ryan from Midwest Foam and Schmidt Construction. We've had these guys on this project several times. They're great to work with. You call them, they give you a quote, they come. It's always exactly what the quote was. They do really good work, clean up when they're done, and I just can't say enough about these guys, their work attitude and how they get things done. They brought their boys with them on this day, keeping them in the business and grooming the next generation of skilled craftsmen, which our country is in dire need of, and we appreciate that, and we think that's pretty cool.
Okay, so we're getting ready to start putting some sheetrock on these walls, and the foam guys are done. There's just a couple of little things that I wanted to show you about prepping these walls after the foam guys have been here. Okay, so this foam is a little bit unruly, and as you can see, they have scraped the foam off of where the sheetrock is going to go. But what you want to do is take a piece of sheetrock, just a small piece, and go around those windows and make sure that that foam is all out of the way. It's kind of hard to tell if it is or not. So I do that around the windows and these window ledges up here. As you can see, you have to cut some of this like that. That foam gets in the way. Kind of want to make sure that's all cleaned out of there, so that when you go to put your sheetrock in, you can fit the sheetrock easier. And then down along the bottoms, around the floor and around the top, you'll want to make sure that you take a straight edge and put it on the studs that you're going to be using and slide that down, because see how that foam is higher than that. It's kind of hard to tell. What I use is just a cutoff tool like this. So I just go along the bottom of this with this cutoff tool and then down and trim that so that that goes. I'll try to set the camera up here so that maybe you can see what I'm doing. Okay, that should get us where we can see what's going on. So if you slide that down, right there, it makes a little mark. That makes kind of something easy to go with. So I just put my blade alongside the bottom. And that gives you kind of the mark to go off of. peel that out of the way like that. And when you put your straight edge on there, it'll slide right down to the floor. And then you know that that foam is not going to be shoving on that sheetrock and causing problems. And I won't show all that, but we'll do that all along the whole base. I've done a little bit in this corner. Basically what you're doing is just taking a flat, straight edge around there and making sure there's no foam that's going to be pushing out on the sheetrock, causing bulges in the walls, and it'll cause screws to pull through and all kinds of stuff. So just a little bit of prep here will make things go a lot easier as you're putting sheetrock over this foam. Yeah, keep in mind they weren't putting sheet goods, sheetrock or 4x8 sheets of anything on here. So where it's normal to have stud spacing now at 16 inches, for the most part they kind of went by that, but sometimes they didn't. So if we look here, this one's at 16, it's very close anyway. We're good. We're close to 16. It got a little bit less. So that's close to 16, and then this last one isn't. It's not on that 16 because they wanted to get this close to the corner so that they'd have support for that lap. That's pretty common. And then of course this stud is not at 16. They didn't carry that, and they don't. And that's pretty common for these. Down here, this one is close to 16. There you can see it's not quite. So it's not. So it didn't. Bottom stayed close to on 16, but not quite. A lot of times these are not even close to 16. The way, modern construction, you would start somewhere on the wall and do 16-inch centers, and these houses just aren't that way. They may have started in the middle, they may have started somewhere else. So what I do is give me a notepad and decide where I'm going. I go right to left, then I'll go from where I want my sheetrock to start, and it's 3.5. So the first stud is at 3.5. And then it's on 16s all the way across the room until this one here. And then this last one is about 18. So 3.5 and then 16s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. And then the last one is 17.5. And I'll show you how I mark that out. I'll get a total measurement, and I'll put the total down here and we'll go from there. So a couple more measurements that I'm doing. This piece right here will be 5 inches from that is where that stud will be, and this one is 17.5 from that, which will be on the 16. Sometimes these won't end up exactly in the right place, but the lines will be close enough that we'll be able to tell, where they're at. So another thing that I do is I'm using 54-inch sheetrock here. So I measure from the ceiling down and put a mark in 3 places on the wall, and I did it there and I did it here. The reason I do that is because often in these houses the ceiling is not straight and the wall is not straight and the stuff is not straight. So if you just measure in one place your 54-inch sheetrock and you put that on there, then where your mark is, maybe you won't cover it, or then the sheetrock won't be straight. So I put those marks, use my laser. I can then look and see if that's going to be straight. In this house, the ceiling is pretty straight, so we're in pretty good shape. So the reason I use 54-inch sheetrock, these are 9-foot ceilings, so it takes 2 sheets of 54-inch sheetrock, and you won't have an extra joint, the mud in the middle. And I'm not all that good at sheetrock finishing, so I do everything I can to have as little joints as possible. Okay, so I went right to left in there. So if I start on the right, I start at 3.5, and that's where that first stud is. And because I went right to left, then the thing doesn't work quite right. So these are on 16s. So because I went backwards, I have to do it a little bit different. So I can mark these. We have the overall length is 136.25. So I can get that. As you seen there, I ended up with that side just a little bit tight, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Just trimmed it off a little. Now I will get a roto zip and zip around the outside of this window, and that sheet will lay in there, and we'll have the first one in. Okay, so this is my roto zip, just a cutout tool, and it'll just follow along the outside of that window frame and cut that piece out for me. Okay, for this sheet, this time I'll do it right, and I'll measure it from left to right. I always get confused on which way to do it, but you do it just like you read, from left to right. If you take your measurements from left to right, then the T-square works out right. Okay, so what I did there is mark that box also. I'll just mark the box with an X. So I took the measurements for that. We'll mark that on that piece out there, so I can just take the roto zip and go around that electrical box. And like I said, like I didn't do before, from left to right. It's the correct way to do it.
Okay, I ran into the situation yesterday that I was talking to you about how these houses, the studs are not always on 16. If you start measuring here, then the studs are on 16. And then when you come over here, of course these aren't always. This one's on 16. This one is not. That one's not. That one's not. So somewhere here, and it's right here, these two studs are not 16 apart. All of those are to there. And these are to here. Excuse me, to there. So this is one of those situations that as I'm marking this piece of sheetrock out, I have to change where that's at. And the way I will do that is measure from this first stud here and figure out that the fifth stud is at 60 inches. And then from that 60 inches, then we're back on 16. So I'll just write that down and we'll mark that sheet out accordingly. So that first stud is at 5.5. So we'll mark our 5.5. And then our overall length is 136.25. There. And we'll make some other marks. So, but all the rest of these marks go off of this stud. That's the first one, the second one, third one, fourth, and the fifth one is at 60 inches. So when you're by yourself, sometimes this is the easy way to measure from that. You just put your knife in there and then you can catch your knife, your tape measure. So it's at 60. And then there are studs on each end of the window at 42.5 and 80. So the same thing here, 42.5 and 80. And then we know that this is that where that wall changed. So we'll put our knife in here and then we'll go 16s from here on. And really we just need one. Actually I could have used this. Once you have this mark, then that's all the studs marked out. The window will be here, so this is that short stud area. A couple of those will be, but we'll figure that out when we get there. Now all we got to do is cut this off.
And that piece there is ready to put up. I am going to measure where this window is on this one and mark it out, because I'm going to mark both of these pieces, and then I'm going to have somebody help me today to carry them in. Okay, so now I'm going to measure to mark out this window. And the window is at 51.5 and 82.5. 51.5 and 82.5. And let's say 23.5 down. So we'll start back over here again, because that's where I measured. And we'll do the 51.5 and 82.5. 51.5 and 82.5. Grab this. We're 23.5 inches down, so we'll make that mark down. 23.5. Bring this mark over. 23.5 down. And this will be the window, and that'll just give me an idea of where to start cutting that out at. So here you see the stud that's on that side of the window. Here you see the stud that's on this side. And this is that odd spot right here. This one, we've got our 60 mark. And on this one, that goes just to the bottom. Our window is the same, 51.5, 82.5 from here. This time it is 20.5 from the bottom. Put that mark there. We'll mark out our window first this time, so we're not marking where we don't need to. That would be 33.5. Lost my other mark. It's over here. 52.5 or 51.5 and 82.5. One there. This is the window. And with that, we should have those two pieces ready to go in. Here we go with this bathroom project. Yesterday we got all the plumbing in. We got the sheetrock on the ceiling, got the fan installed, the fan light installed, cut an access hole up there. Today we're going to be putting the sheetrock, the waterboard in all of the bathroom here, and we'll get this closed up, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I got a couple of things I need to do to prep this shower for sheetrock. I wanted to show you. These showers have this lip right here, and you really want the sheetrock to come down here as close as you can get to this so that you can seal that. So obviously if you just put the sheetrock over there, it's going to cause a bump and it's probably going to break right there. But if you take these 1/4-inch long shims and you put them here like this, then that sheetrock will just go right even or right over the shower. So we'll pop a couple of these into place. And then kind of the same thing down the wall. One more little thing on these shims. Where your sheetrock is going to end at your 48, make sure that you support both ends, both pieces of that sheetrock, or you'll get an uneven piece and it'll be kind of a buggered finish. And then the best thing to do here is, because we're floating across there, is put your first screws clear up here. Could use a zip tool, and usually I would, but this door frame's kind of special. So if you just take a knife and run down the back side of that door because it's exposed, then this will make a lot nicer cut than even the zip tool. All right, end of the day video. We have put in a good solid 10-hour day and we have got all the sheetrock hung. So tomorrow we're going to clean up a little bit and work on this ceiling some. We're going to mud and tape probably most of the day tomorrow. We got quite a bit done. All the electrical is done. We got this motion light in this closet. We got all this closet, this sheetrock all hung in there. Believe it or not, it takes about as long to hang sheetrock in a closet as it does a football stadium. They're just a pain with lots of small pieces, and really it's no easier than doing a whole room. But that's where we're at, and we'll pick up with you tomorrow morning as we take some more punishment from this 1920s Craftsman bungalow.